Hi. Logan from Oregon asks the question, what was Straylight Productions and how did you come to be a part of it? Straylight was started by Andrew Sega and Dan Gardape in the, I believe, mid 90s, maybe 94, 95, somewhere around there. It was around the time that they were both working on a game called Crusader, No Remorse by Origin Systems. And that was a top down shoot 'em up game that was quite a bit of fun and had mod files. In fact, the song for the first map level in that game was Dimension 2012, which, if you go out and look on YouTube or if you look for the mod for it, you'll find it. And it's a pretty killer dance track. So, Straylight Productions began as a music team with Dan and Andy essentially starting a group to make music for a variety of purposes, but primarily games, if I recall correctly. From that point on, Andy would go on to get coding work, and his training and his overall career goals were to be a programmer, and he still is to this day. Dan Gardape would go on to also, I believe, doing audio and code work, if I'm not mistaken, and is working at 2K Games, which before was Kush Games, and then they got bought by 2K. Time does things to memory over a period of time. You can forget stuff, but yeah. So they essentially they went their separate ways, but they still provided music, and I would. They said, "Hey, do you want to take over Straylight?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure," because Unreal Tournament, and Deus Ex were coming up the pipe quickly. And so those first games were done under the Straylight Productions. Now, Michiel van den Bos was a separate, was not technically part of that group. I believe he preferred to be, to build his own brand, which he did, and continues to write music for Triumph Studios games, and they're still doing stuff like Age of Wonders. And we of course did the Unreal Tournament remix album, the Deus Ex remix album, and go and check those out because Conspiravision and Tournament Rematched are out on Materia Records, and they're pretty good albums, though I say it myself. So Straylight Productions did stuff for a while, but then essentially dissolved, and if you, I don't think it was reformed as Funky Rustic. Funky Rustic was my was a group that I started with my ex-wife Jeanette, and we ran with a number of people contributing stuff. Well, as a matter of fact, one of the formative people during that time was Levon Schwartz. So, yeah. But Straylight Productions, that's essentially how it began, was Andy Sega and Dan Gardape back in the early to mid 90s on Crusader, No Remorse. And how I came to be a part of it was we were all friends at the time. And if there were opportunities, we would try to share them in terms of projects. And that's what I enjoyed doing then, and I still enjoy doing. So thanks for the question, Logan.